Hey folks, welcome to Roll of Law. I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3, and I'm sure a lot of you have as well, and I've been enjoying it quite a bit. I haven't been able to play it as much as I'd like, but the parts I've seen so far I've really liked. There's a lot of depth to it, a lot of richness. It's a fairly faithful adaptation of 5th edition to a computer game format, and they've made some rules tweaks here and there to make it work better in that format. Nothing that has really detracted in any way. There's a lot of richness to it. There's a lot of things going on and things to discover. It's a really fun game. But there are some elements of it that I don't think would work as well at a tabletop. And so I wanted to talk about that because there's going to be a number of people who might play Baldur's Gate 3 and then come to a tabletop and start playing, or who might already be tabletop players and might start borrowing ideas, because all of us, we borrow ideas from all sorts of places. So the thing I want to talk about is really the characters, and not the main character, because of course the main character, as usual, unless you choose to play one of the existing characters, is kind of the usual blank slate. But there's going to be some spoilers in this, so if you haven't played it and you want to go in fresh, you might want to watch something else, like say this video. But as mentioned, they won't be deep spoilers because I haven't gotten that far. So the game starts out with you getting kidnapped by mind flayers who then put a tadpole into your brain, and that tadpole is going to change you into a mind flayer in a few days. So you've got this urgency. And your first objective really is to find a way to get the cortex bomb out of your head, or mind flayer tadpole. Same idea. And there's other people that you encounter, the other characters that you're going to sort of adventure with, and they all have the same problem. As a start to an adventure or a start to a campaign, this is great. Everybody is in the same place through pretty much random chance, but wherever they're from, there's an explanation for how they got there. They were kidnapped by mind flayers. And they all have an impetus to act. They all have a reason to take further steps and to work together, because whatever cures one person will probably cure another person as well. So there's a reason to work together. However, the characters themselves are all they're all built in the same sort of way. And that is that they all have some sort of deep, dark, troubling secret. And in fact, not just any sort of secret, but something that might actively be harmful to the party. So it's kind of becoming a trope as I play that the characters will come up and be like, so now that we've been adventuring for a while, I have something to tell you. I have a secret. And I go, oh, this is my shocked Pikachu face, because it's like the 4th time. This does not work all that well when you get a group of characters. It works fine in a video game. And the reason why is the video game has one player. It's me. And so all of these things are mysteries for me to unpack. They're there really for my benefit. I'm the main character. But if there's more people there, if it's a group of characters, then we run into problems, because each of these secrets is going to have 2 purposes. In the video game, it's really only got one purpose. This secret is there to entertain me and to create something that I can unpack, a little mystery I can explore as I go. But at a tabletop, there's actually this second purpose. You've got this other person who both wants to keep the secret and also wants me to be interested in the secret. And those 2 things you can see are a bit at odds. And I may not be interested. Hey, I've got a secret backstory. And I go, okay, neat. Okay. But a lot of the secret backstories or secret elements here are things that really at a tabletop would put a lot of work on the other players, or force them to maybe change how they play their characters, or else just kick you from the group. Now, that doesn't apply so much to some of the characters. So far, you start out with a Githyanki, who really seems to be, her personality is basically, I'll do whatever so long as it's good for me, which is fine in the video game because it's always going to be, we're always going to be aligned in interests. But in an actual tabletop, that might create tension down the road. It's a concept that I would be looking at going, okay, we're going to have an argument about this in like 5 sessions, and I got to get ready for that. You've got the other, Shadowheart the cleric, whose personality is basically if Hot Topic sold religions. But she starts out with, I've got this secret object that you can't know anything about, and I'm not going to tell you. And so it's like, well, is that a problem? Is that going to blow up in our face? What's the issue with that? But these aren't the worst of the problems. You also meet a rogue who starts out his introduction by trying to kill you. And this is a terrible introduction for a player character, because I can tell you, if you're sitting there at the table and you're role playing your characters and somebody's introduction is that they're trying to kill you, you're probably not going to be like, welcome aboard, come adventure with us, you can hang out with me while I sleep. And instead you're just going to be like, oh, let me roll for initiative here, and we'll just, how much XP are you worth? Generally, when people try to kill you, if you're playing somewhat realistically, your response is going to be to either kill them back, or at the very least, not be like, let's be besties. Yeah. So it's not a great introduction. Even though this guy also has the tadpole in his head, I'm pretty sure if I encountered this guy in real life, my thought would be, bye, you're gonna go to jail and I will never see you again, except maybe for the trial. So that's not a great introduction. And sure enough, his next big reveal is him trying to bite you while you sleep, because he's also a vampire-ish. Which, I gotta say, is also not something that would really lend me to be like, oh, this guy's gotta stay in the group. This is a concept that essentially downloads a lot of extra work onto the other characters, because now they have to figure out why they're still going to adventure with you, as opposed to just like throwing you into a sack and then throwing that sack into a bush and then throwing that bush into a fire, because there really isn't a reason why most people would want to. In a video game, I'm going to let him adventure with me because he does decent sneak attack damage. That's about it. And because I'm kind of curious, right? But if I'm playing a character more seriously, I'm going to be a lot less curious and a lot more like, no, dude, go away. So that guy is a giant problem, and I think would be a concept that would be very difficult to play. You'd have to have a lot of buy-in, not just from the DM, but also from every other player. This is very much an edgelord concept. He is, very edgy, and they don't tend to go over well, even if he isn't really a loner concept, which props for that. Next guy sort of to talk about is you've got Gale the Wizard, and his introduction to the group is a little less violent. It's just, hi, I'm popping out of a dimensional portal. Cool, nothing wrong with that. No issues. But you've been adventuring with this guy for all of like 10 minutes when he says, I have a dark secret. And again, you're like, oh, really? Tell me more. You have a dark secret. And he says, I need to consume magic items or I will die. And I go, okay, that sounds like a you problem. In a video game, it's just you've got this character and he's got a drawback. And probably that's going to tie into plot. Hopefully it's going to pay off at the end and there's going to be some reward. But initially you're just like, okay, neat. I can tell you how this would go down at a tabletop. You're sitting there and you're like, I must consume powerful magic items in order to survive. And everyone else at the table would be like, okay, cool. Whatever you do with your cut of the treasure is your call. Whether you want to eat it or throw it in the river or whatever. But you're not getting extra magic just because you wrote a backstory that tries to guilt us into it. Sorry, no sale. Think about it if you met somebody and they're like, I have a terrible need. I must destroy a classic car every few days or else I will suffer terribly. Do you happen to have a mint condition 1970s Camaro on you? Be like, bye. We're not entertaining this. This is all the more true because it was literally a day after I met this guy that he's making this pitch. And the only reason that happened is because I screwed up in a fight and I accidentally targeted an area effect on my own people, so we had to do a long rest. Otherwise, it would have been literally the same day. Like hours after we meet this guy, he's like, I need your most valuable items. I just can't see this concept working well at a table. So there's all sorts of ways to do secrets that will work better than this. And maybe I should do a video just on having secrets and how to do it well versus how to do it badly. But a secret that really puts a cost on everyone else is not going to go over well. Or a secret that threatens other people and they're supposed to be okay with it, like you are actively a monster, is not, it's going to be something that puts a lot of load on other people. And if they haven't agreed to that, it may not go over well. It may not be something that other people are enjoying. So I really like the game, but as a DM, I would be very skeptical about some of these concepts. If somebody's like, this is what I want to play, I'd be, okay, let's talk. Let's see if we can make that work. Let's see if the other players think it's as cool. And that's the other problem with secrets, is that if you want this to be a big secret reveal, then you can't get that buy-in from other players. You can't get them to agree ahead of time. And so really, this is somebody changing the deal on them, which they're not going to like. So great game. As I said, I'm not going to do a full review of it, but it is a fun game. I've really enjoyed it. I thought it was well plotted, well paced so far. There's a lot to do in it. Every time I think I'm sort of ready to move on with the plot, there's another side quest or little side thing to explore. I've been enjoying the heck out of it. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below whether you agree. I know there's some people who just think like, hey, a good DM should be able to roll with anything, but this is just going to create player tension in a way that I don't think I'd like to be there as a DM. And as another player, I'd be going, really? Okay, I guess this is what we're doing. Yeah. So anyway, those are sort of my thoughts on playing it. I wanted to share them with you. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Maybe I'm out to lunch here, or maybe you've had experiences with these kinds of characters, and let me know about those as well. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. See you next time.